Are you tired of relying solely on one paycheck to make ends meet? Ready to unlock the secret to financial freedom and independence? Well, you're in the right place.
Welcome to the Five Guys podcast, where we're flipping the script on the traditional 9 to 5 grind and exploring an exhilarating world of side hustles and multiple income streams.
Today, we're diving deep into the game-changing strategies of diversifying your income through the side hustle. Whether you're dreaming of extra cash flow, escaping the rat race, or simply trying to, pad your pockets, with this episode, your roadmap to success is right here.
So grab your notepad and buckle up, because we're about to embark on a thrilling journey of entrepreneurial exploration, innovative income strategies, and life-changing insights. Get ready to unleash your inner hustler and unlock the power of multiple income streams. So let's dive in.
Inner hustler, let's go. I like that. A lot of good little, good little bits in there. Padding the pockets, I like that.
Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about quite
a
a few different things. I'm really excited to talk about it because in segment one, we're going to be talking about all about understanding why it's important to have multiple income streams and to diversify.
Definitely.
In segment two, we'll be exploring various side hustle ideas. In segment three, we're actually going to be giving you guys different side hustle ideas for you so that you can find the right side hustle that's going to work for you. So you can hopefully not have to run through so many iterations before finding what actually works out. In segment four, we'll overcome some common challenges and obstacles. Then we will start to work on how we're going to build and scale this side hustle into an empire that it should be. Mm-hmm. And then finally, we'll finish off with balancing the side hustle with all of your other responsibilities in life.
Definitely. Well, we got an exciting pod for us today. So I'm excited. I know you do the side hustle game. I'm in the side hustle game. And hey, we're all about making a little bit more cheddar cheese on the side. So it's going to be a great one.
Yeah.
Let's dive right in.
Let's dive right in.
Let's dive right in.
What are some thoughts on why you think we should try to diversify our income streams rather than just being dependent on one paycheck?
It's like putting all of your eggs in one basket. It's not the best move. It's not the best move. It's good to have something to not necessarily fall back on if you lose your main job, but it's nice to have something going on the side, a little side money. Where you can, oh man, I want to upgrade the kitchen, but the budget is fixed, spending is fixed. Well, if I sell X amount of widgets, I get X amount of dollars. Now I don't have to really squeeze myself, so now I can actually upgrade things in my life and just have more freedom and more protection. That's kind of the way I see it, me personally. But how do you see it, Chris?
I think when you rely solely on one paycheck, it's very risky. I mean, we've already talked about that the average American can't already handle a $400 expense.
Yeah.
So when you're relying on that one paycheck, imagine, God forbid, you lose your job, you get in a car crash on the way to work, something like that. And now we are completely out of money and we're out of a job which really was the lifeblood that was allowing us to survive. Yeah. So by being able to diversify our income, the same way we want to diversify our investments, our time, everything like that. We never want to go all in on one thing, because if something goes wrong, that leaves us, really at a dire situation. And that's where, financial independence can really come in as well. It can even supercharge your path of financial independence.
Yeah.
Because that extra money that you have, that's extra money that you can be putting towards your investments, towards accumulating assets, things that are putting more money into your pocket. So you might have a season of life where you're really grinding it out. You're really trying to grow all these side hustles, I like to call it the lost decade of where you're just working, you're putting in all the time and money, but you're setting yourself up for the rest of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're got your side hustle going and it's making money, it's down the line, of course, and you got your main job, that money adds up quick, especially you put it in the right accounts where it's growing, and compound interest we talk a lot about on the channel. That makes a big difference. It changes your whole time horizon.
Yeah, no, it really can. I mean, just an extra $100 a week. I mean, that's $400 a month. You times that by 52 weeks. That's $5,200 a year that you're putting into maybe a traditional IRA, or even better, a Roth IRA if you're there, or if you've already maxed out, maybe an additional brokerage account, or just some extra fun money. Do you have any?
Even just fun money, it doesn't have to go to savings. A portion of it can. If you're on your game with not your real job, but like your main job, and X amount of dollars goes to the 401k, to savings, to all this, there's no reason why it can't go at least a portion of it to some fun money, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. I know for me, when I started my first side hustle, and we finally were able to, bring that first dollar in, those first a little bit of amount of money, it was, hey, wife, let me take you out to dinner with the money that we just made on the side, something that wasn't coming out of my paycheck, and it was allowed for a lot more buy-in from her for all the time, all the stress, all the stuff you go through when you're trying to deal with all this, that she would have to watch me going through to be like, okay, I understand why he's doing this. It allows us to be able to go do these extra things without having to worry about, well, what am I taking away from? Because this is extra money. And it is really cool to feel like in a world of consumers that I am the person putting the product out into the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's nice to add stuff to the world, you know?
Mm-hmm. Do you have any anecdotes as to when you first started your side hustling journey, as to how it got started, or what the biggest things you've learned kind of getting started with it was?
It's funny that we're talking about this exact topic, because last week was minimalism, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was like going through my house and like seeing like, oh, I have a camera that I bought, I used, I don't really use it anymore. It might be maybe some shoes, maybe it might be a desk. Me, I love desks. It might be something like that. And for me, when I was going through my home, my last house, decluttering it, it's like, oh, well, I could donate this, or why don't I just flip it? I spent good money on it. Let's see if we can get anything for it. Throw it up on, I think back then it was like Let Go or OfferUp.
Yep.
Now, like the hot craze is Facebook Marketplace.
Yep. Facebook Marketplace is where to go.
I was telling you, there's some good stuff on there. And they got an algorithm too that like knows what you like. Oh, it's dangerous. Like I popped in yesterday. It was like the first 4 things was like an Audi R8. It was a pizza oven, a gardening station, and then it was like an outdoor like grill or something like this. And I'm like, oh, dude, don't recommend me things like this. I will buy them. I don't want to do this right now. I got to build out other places first before I get like that Audi R8. I'm like, I'm not there yet. So
hold on. I saw a restaurant available for purchase out in like
hilarious.
Scottsdale. Yeah,
that's
for like
hilarious.
a few
Was
$100,000.
It a Mexican restaurant?
No, it was like a pizza place or something like that. I wasn't exactly sure. I mean, I'm not going to buy a restaurant, so I just went okay, and just kind of went on.
Oh no. Well, but yeah, no. I mean, cleaning out my house, flipping things like that. That's kind of how I started the side hustle aspect of it all. Yeah. But how did you start?
I didn't come from an entrepreneurial family. I know that was something that you did. I think your dad owns his own business, and you said that pretty much the whole family,
yeah,
is always doing their own thing. So for you, I think that might have been more of a natural transition to feel like, well, I don't really want to be an employee. I want to be an owner. But for me, I came from a family of, immigrants, and the only way that we knew how to make money was basically by working for other people. Yeah. So the way I grew up was, it was actually irresponsible to try to go and create your own thing. It was, looked down upon when you could just go and find a normal job, work for 40, 50 years, put your kids through school, and then die. Like that was basically, what you're taught is, work long enough to get a pension or something like that. So when I actually started my entrepreneurial journey, everything was really scary for me, because it was completely new. There was no one in my family I could turn to for advice.
No ChatGPT.
Yeah, no ChatGPT, no nothing like that. So
nothing like that.
It's hard to even talk about like what it is to overcome that in your mind. That fear of failing, that fear of everything. That's probably the hardest part. And the reason I see most people never get started on their side hustle is the fear of, what if this doesn't work out? Yeah. And that's okay if your first side hustle doesn't work out, your 10th side hustle. Today we're going to be exploring different ways to find various side hustles that, even if they don't work out, you've still grown as a person, and you can take everything that you've learned in that endeavor and move it on to the next side hustle that has a substantially higher statistic of working out for you.
Absolutely. I mean, with that being said, let's just get right into the various side hustle ideas. Is that something you want to do now?
Yeah, let's do that.
Perfect. Perfect.
I think the first thing we need to do whenever we're trying to look for a side hustle is, first we need to brainstorm, what are we good at? Where do our talents lie?
Yes.
What are things that could actually bring people money? Or what are things that can bring me money and bring people value?
Yeah. Like if you're good with, woodworking, and you have a passion for woodworking, building tables or building, little figurines or whatever, use that skill. The skills like that are definitely in demand. You don't have to go straight to the Ubers, to DoorDash delivery, stuff like that. Like it can be it can be those, but you can also do other things like creating something as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially now with things like Etsy and being able just to go straight to the end user
Straight
and
to
just
consumer,
sell to the consumer and sell. But I think it's really important that first we have to find like, what is that most important thing to me? What is something that I enjoy doing? Because if your side hustle is something you dread, so say you're selling, I don't know, handmade.
My side hustle is picking up poop, right?
Yep.
Dog poop.
Yep. That's your side hustle, but you are definitely afraid of poop.
Dogs.
Like every time you touch it, you throw up. Yeah, I don't like dogs and I don't like poop. I'm going to throw up every single time. And that's probably not a side hustle for you because it's not going to be something that you're going to be able to sustain through the more difficult, grueling times.
Yeah. So yeah, cleaning up poop, it's not going to be for me. That's not really for me. Not my move. But hey, where I don't want to do something, someone else might want to go do something, you know?
Yeah. There's a potential business right there.
Yeah.
That's something, I mean, that's all you're doing is you're adding value to people's lives. And I think that's where people will often forget that. And they're trying to think like, okay, in order for me to start a business, I guess I need an LLC and how do these taxes work and all this stuff. But they don't come down to the meat and potatoes. You can have the perfect business plan. All the LLCs are correct. You went to an attorney, you got it all done. But if you're not adding value to people, no one's going to pay for your product.
No. And at the end of the day, a business's job is to help people. And while I know in today's modern society, it's like, oh, companies are just out to get me. They're trying to screw me. They're trying to this, that. It's like the core foundation of a business is to help solve a problem. Usually 99% of the time it's to solve a problem or provide a service.
Yeah. I mean, that's not to say that sometimes companies can't become so big that they're now hindering the problem from being solved. But for the small mom and pop, the side hustler, they're not the person who's going out there trying to like destroy the ozone layer so that they can fix the ozone layer or anything like that. They're just really trying to provide value every single day to somebody. You know, it could be as simple as maybe you're driving down the street and you see, hey, there's a lot of people commuting at this time, or I'm seeing all these people walking their dogs right before work. Can I come up with a service where I go to their house and I walk their dogs for them so they don't have to wake up at 4 a.m. and go and do that? You've just now added value to somebody's life. And of course, they're going to want to pay you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, anytime, I think my buddy Thomas, he was in the other room actually working on his side hustle. He was telling me about a quote that he heard. He's like, anytime there's money exchanged in the world, you can stick your hand in between it and extract money of your own and figure out a way to make that more efficient or help them or, you know, help both sides, you know? And it's interesting. People often think side hustle is, you know, I'm a person, I'm going to go out and help other people. It can be, you know, you can help businesses too. Like it's not just, you know, making an item, selling it to an item. It can be, I have a power washer and I'm going to go to, you know, all these storefronts and be like, hey, every Wednesday at 6 a.m. I can come by and power wash the thing so your storefront's all clean. You know, it can be something as simple as that.
Yeah.
And I feel like with businesses, you can almost charge more, and it's more reliable. At least that's my experience.
No, I would definitely agree with that. I think the biggest thing for most people when it comes to side hustling is just the fear of getting started.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
thankfully though, the barrier to entry has never been easier.
Yeah, that's true. It's never been easier than now. But the other scary statistic with that is even though more businesses are getting started up, majority of the businesses that are failing is substantially higher too. Because while it may be easier than ever to start a business, it's also harder than ever to scale a successful business. So the winners are really winning and the losers are just, they're gone.
Yeah. So how do you get from loser to winner? Is it as simple as, hey, Chris, just don't ever quit? Or is it like, you know, you gotta go to college for this? Or give us some tips. How do we get there?
Yeah, you know, and that's a nuanced conversation, right? In that, where does grit versus quit end? Because at some point, like, we can always try to grit it out. You know, if the side hustle isn't working, well, how can I pivot? How can I change a little bit more? But at some point, maybe your idea just isn't in the right place. Maybe you're in the wrong market for your idea. Maybe your idea just isn't a good idea. And it's never going to work no matter what you do. So that's really going to be a personal question as to at what point should we do the grit or quit and not continue to sink money, sink time, sink our effort into something that's never going to return. But to your second question, do I need a college degree? Do I need anything like that? That's the beauty of a side hustle. it's something that you can do that is your passion or something that you just know you can do that you have learned in your day-to-day life.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
some of the most successful side hustles are, you know, the way that I started mine was I had a normal job where I was making money from it and I was getting paid for it. And then it came down to, why am I doing this for somebody else
Yeah.
when I could do it on my own and be my own boss? Now that comes with its own issues and all these other
Yeah.
things.
It's not as simple as just that, but
Yeah, it comes with a lot, but that was my way of introducing myself to the side hustle, saying like, if I can do this for somebody else and get paid through them, why not just go directly to the consumer?
absolutely. Yeah. No, 100%. 100%. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't think there's anything more to add on that. I mean, it's easier than ever to start, but I think, it's kind of interesting. I was thinking about what you were saying while you were saying, and it's easier. It's easier than ever to start, but more businesses are failing than ever before. Well, it's like, well, why? It's like, do you think it's because some people who shouldn't be in business are in business, or is it just like that learning curve that more people are in it? So that's how that you learn. I mean, most people learn by failure sometimes. What do you think? Why do you think so many businesses are failing?
You know, I think what it is when it comes down to they're not choosing the right thing, something that they can stick with, even if they're not making money. Because in all of business, I think that, you know, you and I, we can talk to this point. You have a game plan. You know, one of the biggest things that I tell people that's like, people say like, Chris, you're crazy for saying this, is I don't like, I think creating a full like 5-year business plan is a complete waste of time.
It's garbage.
Yeah, because you're going to sit there, you're going to come up with all these projections, and then the moment that the rubber hits the road, everything goes out the door.
Yeah.
It's the same reason that I don't really do financial plans for clients anymore. I used to have clients giving me like $3,000 to do a financial plan, and then a month later, that financial plan was done because the financial plan and the business plan, it's stagnant. Has nothing to do with the real world though. The moment that, you know, the lease falls through, or, you know, that product from China doesn't show up, well, guess what? That plan's out the door, and now we're trying to reiterate. So I think it comes down to where you're dealing with an issue rather than just giving up. I think most people just quit. They quit too early rather than figuring out, is this figure outable? Can I learn from this?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. People quit too early. And what worries me about people quitting a side hustle is they only try once. And then they say, well, I tried. It's like, well, how long did you try? I tried for 2 weeks. It's like, brother, come on. 2 weeks, that's nothing. Get in the game. Like, you got to be in the game for some time. And if one business fails, try a different one. Try a different one. Try a different one. Stick with one. Stick with one 6 months. See if you can figure it out. See if you can figure out a way where, you know, like you did with your business, you know, find an area where nobody else is doing what you think needs to be done and do it uniquely. Do it in your style. And see if you can extract some capital out of the market, take some market share from the competition, all that fun stuff. The way I look at it is business is a sport.
Yeah.
It's a sport. Play it like one. Play it like one.
Yeah, but how many people nowadays they're afraid to play sports? They're afraid to do these things because they don't want to lose. I think that's the scariest part. Is people are they're so afraid of losing, and I think that's why most people never start the side hustle. Is because when it's in their brain, when it's this concept that, oh, I could quit my job if I wanted to go, and I could go start the side hustle and it would all work out. But there's still the fear of, but what if it doesn't? What if I'm wrong? What are some ways that we can help our audience get past that initial level of fear, of trepidation, and disconnect the thought that just because something fails, it does not mean that you are a failure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's one of the biggest things that I personally struggle with. And like, that's been my whole motto for the last 6 months, you know, from moving out and being on my own and, you know, having to like really start paying serious bills and get my life, you know, not necessarily together, but get it together on the adult side. And my whole motto has just been show no fear, you know, just show no fear. It's all internal. The fear is all internal, you know. It's, oh, am I going to have enough money to pay the bills this month? It's like, yeah, you do. Okay. Don't worry about something that doesn't need to be worried about. But worrying comes from procrastination and not doing what you know you should be doing. So do what you need to do to be successful and execute the plan. Simple as that. Draw a plan, execute it.
Yeah.
And like we talk about it all the time. I don't mean to interrupt you, but you used to do the financial plans. You drop the plan, they wouldn't execute it.
Mm-hmm.
1 month later, they come back. It's like, guys, plan's nothing with if you don't execute it. You got to be the general and the soldier.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think the biggest thing that people, when you were talking about anxiety there and worrying, and
Mm-hmm.
one quote I like about worrying is the only way that you can suffer twice.
Yes. Oof, yeah. Damn. That one hit me. That one hit me a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. No, 100%. 100%. You know, show no fear.
Mm-hmm.
Show no fear, guys.
Show no fear, punch, really punch fear in the face. And I think the biggest thing for getting started with a side hustle is you need to start before you are ready.
Yeah.
There are too many people that think like, I need the perfect SEO. I need the perfect website. I need all these things.
Let me get all the courses.
And they're just spending money. They're spending time. They're spending all these things that are just procrastinations on getting started. And I think a lot of that comes down to from fear. I think all is just fear of saying like, why do I get started? You're never going to have the perfect plan before you start, but you need to start to find the perfect plan.
Absolutely. That actually ties in. That actually hits quite personal. And, you might be listening to the podcast and be like, oh, Chris and Dom, they got it all figured out. It's like, no, not at all. Like we struggle. We're right here with you. We're teaching what we know, but we're in the trenches too. Like I started my side hustle, the main side hustle that we're going to talk about in a minute here. I started this in, I think, a little before December last year. And I had this course. It was a free course, amazing course on my side hustle on dropshipping. And it was long. I'm telling you, it was like, it must have been like 80 episodes, right? 80, lessons. And I got my Shopify account, right, where I host my website, and I got my product. I got one product, but I would just, I can't start until I finish it. And then they'd add more episodes. I'm like, I can't start until I finish it, and it's fear.
Yep.
It's 100% fear. They might have something in there that I might need. Cross the bridge and we'll see what's on the other side. Like, you got to cross the bridge to know what's on the other side. You can't see what's on the other side without crossing it.
Yep.
And I had to I'm like, you know what? And I'll give credit to my buddy Thomas in the other room working on his side hustle. He really helped me with that. We talk about it all the time on the channel. Going with a friend, it makes it so much easier. If you have a friend who's like-minded in that aspect, right? For him and I, we're like, we should try this thing out. See if it works. We're not on the same business. He has his business thing. I have my business thing, my side hustle. And it's been very encouraging, right? So once a week, twice a week, we'll sit down, we'll work on it. We'll see how we can improve it, how we can benefit from it. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, with everything in life, you have to start before you're ready.
Yeah. You brought up a good point that when you are a business owner, when you're doing your own side hustle, and this is the reason that I don't say like burn the boats. Like you shouldn't just like quit your job and just go ahead and do it, because when you are a business owner, you really are an island. Like you are by yourself, you're in the trenches and you're alone. So sometimes being able to create a community of people that are struggling right there alongside you, because sometimes you feel when you're running a business, when I run my business, I look towards other RIAs, other established. I look at the Merrill Lynch's of the world, the Charles Schwab's, other big firms, and I compare myself to them. But they're not me. They're not playing the same game. They're on a completely different level, who's been doing it for 50 years more.
Yeah.
And you begin to feel like, oh, I'm the failure. It's my fault. But you don't look at you didn't see everything they went through too. Same with Mark Zuckerberg, same with Jeff Bezos, same with Elon Musk. You see the successes and you assume that was their first iteration. You don't see the 20, 50, 60 fails that they had to do, the scary nights, the being alone, the fear, the trepidation, everything they went through in order
Bankruptcy,
to
like lawsuits, everything, scary stuff, relationships being ruined. You only see the positive. It's almost like social media. It's like you only see what people want you to see.
Yeah, you see the highlight reel of a company.
Absolutely.
Not all the terror. I mean, I know we were going to go into trying to find different side or your side hustle for our audience member. But I say we'll go back to that in a second, because I feel like we're on a jam. So I say we kind of go into overcoming some common challenges and obstacles, because right now we're both trying to tell the audience that we're going through it too. Do you want to share what you're currently, I know you kind of mentioned it a little bit, you and your friend, what are you currently doing as your side hustle? I know you said you were doing a drop shipping course. So what is it, and what's been some of the common challenges you've been finding thus far?
Yeah. So challenge wise, is mostly fear. It's not like God, I have to figure out how to build this building, and I really don't know how. It's not a knowledge problem, right? All the knowledge is available online. I'm one search away, right? So it's not a knowledge problem. It's a fear problem. That's the biggest problem you're going to have, is the fear, because the execution is not that hard. It's not, for me and the side hustle that I'm doing, right? I'm not doing anything where I'm like really challenging my brain. Granted, I'm doing things that are difficult because they're new to me, but they're not, it's not geometry. It's not algebra. It's not chemistry, right? Me and chemistry, we don't mix. Little science joke for you. But no, for me, what I'm doing is I'm doing drop shipping, right? And if you've heard of it or if you've not heard of it, it's basically where you source a product, right, from a company or a manufacturer. You build out a website, you build out a storefront digitally. You make it presentable. You make the case on why a person should buy this product or service. It's usually a product. And then you run ads on, say, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. People go, they buy from you. You don't hold any inventory. When they buy from you, the manufacturer, I have a middleman to the middleman. So the manufacturer will package it up, ship it to them, and done deal. They get their product. I get my little cut in between. And that's kind of the side hustle I'm working on right now. As far as product wise, I don't want to give away the secret sauce, but for my niche, it's a I don't want to say the niche, but it's like a home decor. It's like a home decor niche. So you can either do like a one product store, you can do like a general niche store. Mine is home decor. So I have different products in my store that I found to be valuable and nice. You don't want to sell people garbage.
Yeah.
And that's important because at the end of the day, like I said before, the idea of a business is to help the community, right? So I don't see myself as taking advantage of the community. I'm just connecting buyers and sellers, right?
Yeah, I think it's a viable business, right? I've heard a story about a person that I was actually helping doing some financial advising for, and they were telling me about their side hustle, and all they did was for around the time of, I think it was maybe Easter or Valentine's Day or something like that, there was a candy place that was like selling stuff, but their checkout process was just terrible. They would go through, you couldn't find like, where do I pay? Like, where's all this work? So they just created their own website that would come through. The person would be like, oh, I want this. They ranked it in SEO. They're able to go through, basically make the purchase streamlined, easy. The client gets their receipt. And then after that, they would just send the order to the candy shop saying, hey, once this is done, here's an order, here's your money, send this to this person.
Oh, that's funny. That's so smart. Yeah. Anytime goods or services are exchanged, you can stick your hand in there and possibly pull out a little cheddar for yourself. Yeah.
So I know you said that fear has been the biggest concern for you. I think I can attest to that. I mean, I think we're working on multiple side hustles. I don't know if you even realize that, like our podcast, this is what we're doing right now.
This is another side hustle. Yeah.
It's another side hustle. And just like you said, it's good to have each other as we go through this, because we get to see the analytics, we get to see what's going on, and we're reiterating and trying to figure out what's going to work, what's not going to work with our audience base. And, I think without each other, it would be much easier to say like, this isn't worth it.
Absolutely.
Like this fear, this concern, all this time and effort I'm putting into it, and not seeing what I want to see, what I see from some of the bigger podcasts. Why aren't we getting that too?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, grab a friend. That quote's always stuck with me. Yeah. It's the same thing with everything I do in life. Anything that I do in life that I happen to be successful in, I did it with a friend. Whether that was starting a studio, starting my business initially, making a commercial studio. I moved out with my buddy Phil. He said he's going to get a commercial spot. I'm like, you know what? Do you mind if I just park my studio right next to yours? He's like, dude, absolutely. I'm like, heck yeah. Whether it's drop shipping, I got a buddy, Thomas, he sells stuff online as well. He was already established, right? But we wanted to try this other form of, e-commerce, I guess you could say. It's like, yeah, we'll do it there. Another buddy of mine working out. So same thing. Podcasting, same thing. I've gone alone before and I can do it, but it's more fun and it's more probable of success when you do it with someone else.
Yeah. And I think the probability of success isn't because, I'm sure there is that there's two brains now sharing it, but I think the thing that gets you farther is that there's a less of a quit attitude when you're going with somebody else.
Yeah.
You're not just going to turn around because you don't want to quit. You can easily quit on yourself.
Yeah.
And we can have a whole conversation if you should or shouldn't. I believe you should never quit on yourself. Never, I think that's the last person you should ever quit on. But we as humans are far less likely to quit on another person. So when you go on to a side hustle with somebody else, even if your guys like you and your friend, you guys aren't doing the same thing, you're not in the same side hustle, but you guys get to share common practices, share what's working for you, and you guys are each other's safety blanket.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Got to keep each other accountable too. Keeping that accountability. You can lie to yourself. I'm sure every morning you wake up and you're like, I don't want to go to the cold plunge. No one will know, but you do it anyways, because you'll know.
Yeah. And you put yourself into that fire every single day. Well, for this is ice, but on this aspect, it's ice. But you put yourself into those hard times every single day. And I get questions from audience members, from friends and family, like, why do you subject yourself to this? And the reason is you never know when those hard times are coming. Yep. But when those hard times do come, especially when I was talking with these side hustles, they're not easy. None of them are easy. Sometimes they come to some people and they're just like, oh, wow, it just kind of fell into my lap. Everything worked out well. But even those people that it all worked out well, that doesn't mean there still wasn't a struggle at some point. There wasn't something they had to overcome. And coming from a mindset of, I can't do this, and turning it to becoming, this is figure outable. I might not know the knowledge right now, but I can go out there and I can figure it out because other people have figured it out. And I'm, if not more intelligent, at least the same level, maybe just a little bit lower of intelligence. And the information is now out there. Yep. So I don't need to figure it out alone.
One of our quotes here in the house for doing the side hustle is, there's people dumber than you making more money than you.
Yes. Because
people who are not as smart, they don't think about these things. They don't think about what if it fails. They don't think at all. They just do. They just do. And you know what? They're successful. And if they can do it, you can do it. You just got to get out of your own way. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, what is it, that old quote from Robert Kiyosaki? I don't really like a lot of his stuff, but I think it's like the A, B, and C students work for the D students.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly it. Yeah, because the D students, they have no fear.
Yep.
They don't care about the system. They don't care about failure. So what? We'll get back up. They've desensitized their mind to failure and saying no and disappointment, where in business, especially when you're starting up, failure, disappointment.
Oh, yeah.
A sale, failure, disappointment, 2 sales, and it repeats and repeats till failure, success, failure, success, dollar, so they're already like hardwired for the culture of business,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think they're, it's really tough, I think, because maybe I don't have that mindset of, well, we'll just figure it out, or I don't need to care. So I'm trying to figure out ways to try to tell our audience member that that's okay to not have that. You don't need to have that mentality of, I just don't care about things, because I think one of my superpowers when I worked for other companies, when I was a financial advisor for other companies, was that I didn't care, because at the end of the day, they weren't my clients. It wasn't
your name on it, your brand,
my name on it.
Yeah.
But I noticed that when I started my own company, I started finally dealing with like anxiety and all these other issues, because it was my name. It was my brand. It was my company's name is my name. Like it's all me. And, that's when that superpower of like not really giving a fuck, it completely went away, because now it was, I really, really care, and that's both a superpower and could be a hindrance in some ways. So that's something that I'm currently working through. That's a struggle that I have with my business of, caring so much for my clients, caring so much for the product that I deliver, so much for everything that I do for them, that am I really delivering what's best, or am I putting myself into too much anguish and it's not good for the company, that I'm struggling and like trying to figure out how can I do so much for my client, even though, they think from their standpoint, like everything Chris is doing is amazing, but I'm constantly concerned in my own brain that I'm not delivering enough value, because it's my name and I really care.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's a mark of a good business owner, someone who actually cares about the people they're helping.
Yeah.
Some people are just in it for the money. And understandable when going after a side hustle. I know we opened the podcast with, padding your pocketbooks and, another source of income. And that's obviously the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't play Monopoly to go bankrupt. You play to make money, you play to win, right? And when it comes to a business, you're in the business of helping people, yes, but also making money, right?
Yep.
It's not a charity. If it was a charity, then there would be no need to make money. But this isn't a charity. It's a business, right? But you're still helping people. You're still helping people.
Yeah, and in this segment of the podcast, I'm not trying to scare other people away from starting side hustles. Obviously, the whole reason for this podcast is to tell people that having multiple streams of income is the right way. But I think too many influencers, too many people online, and that's the reason that we have the Fi Guys, and we're going to tell you the raw and honest truth about the way things are in the world. To what we believe, is because too many people think that it is easy, and it should be easy. So when I hit my first landmark, when I hit my first iceberg, oh, well, I must not be good at this because everyone told me it's supposed to be easy. Mm-hmm. I think it's the same thing as relationships, where people will they'll watch all these TV shows and all these things of what love is. And then they fall in love with somebody, or they fall in lust or whatever it is. And then they hit the first roadblock where maybe they disagree on something. Someone leaves the toilet seat up, and then they realize that, I must not love you because this isn't easy. Yeah. And that's okay that it's not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. You don't grow. You don't become a better person in easy. Correct. You become a better person when it's hard, when you're grinding, when every single day you're waking up like, shit, I have to go and do this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's why it helps to do something. If you're going to do a side hustle, do one that you love. Mm-hmm. Do one that you're passionate about. I'm not going to do one for picking up poop. I'll throw up. Right? That's not my game. Do something that you enjoy to do, that draws you.
Or something that is making you a better person, and that you're not focusing on the money at that point. You're focusing on becoming the better person. Mm-hmm. So I say now we move into like finding the right side hustle for our audience members.
Please.
Hopefully we didn't scare them away from doing a side hustle by talking about
here, congratulations. You've entered segment 3.
You've entered segment 3.
where we give all the good juicy details.
Yeah, the good juicy details on finding the right side hustle for you. So first we talked about like finding your passion. So I have 3 different methods here that we've kind of drawn out for the Fi Guys exclusive on different ways of finding the right side hustle for you. So the first one is called the intersection method. And the intersection method, much like, a T or anything that intersects, what we're trying to do is find, first off, what can I do? Like, what's something that I can do pretty well, maybe just average or better than average than other people? Second question you should ask yourself is, what do I want to do? What is something that I'm passionate about, something that I like? And then the final question is what people do I have in my network that I can utilize? Yeah. And now what we're going to do is we're going to try to find where these 3 elements overlap, so we can discover a good side hustle idea that aligns with your skills, your interests, and your available resources.
I mean, that's setting you up for success right there, right? That's setting you up for success. The connections definitely help when starting out. If I was just like, for my side hustle dropshipping, if I'm like, I want to start dropshipping, and I don't know anybody who's doing it. I don't know there's no courses, there's no teachings. I have to figure it out all on my own. Jinkies. We're in trouble, right? And part of like building my network up, with Thomas, he's done similar things. So it's like, oh, well, let's just pivot and we'll do this. And it's, I've made money online, right? I've done more difficult things, right? Like with the streaming, right? Like during the streams, I play video games and I get paid doing it. It's like,
Mhm.
what kind of wacky concept is that, right? So I've done more difficult things. So
Mhm.
it's David Goggins talks about it a lot in his book Can't Hurt Me, like the cookie jar. Sometimes we forget how badass, I don't like to swear, but badass you really are. And sometimes you got to pull those memories out and be like, I have done really good things in my life. I can do this. It's not as difficult as it seems. And plus, it's like, if you're doing the intersection method, I'm good at it. Why not? Why not shoot for it? Shoot for the moon. Don't be afraid. Just go for it.
Yeah, it's a skill you already have. You already have interest in it, and you already have the network. I've coached people. In addition to doing this podcast and being a financial advisor, I also coach. I'm a chief growth officer for a registered investment advisory firm. So I've coached people, and I've noticed the intersection method comes up a lot. I've had someone I coached who said, I really want to work with military members as a financial advisor. And I was like, that's beautiful. I love that. And they're like, I would really love to specifically work with like Navy SEALs and like the upper echelon of the military. And I was like, that's even cooler, man. Go for it. Like, so like, what people do you know in your network? Like, who can we reach out to? And he's like, well, he lives in Pittsburgh. I'm like, so how many like Navy SEALs do you know? And like, well, none. Like, okay, well, you clearly have skill in being an advisor. Yeah. You have interest in wanting to do it, but you don't have the available resources. Like, you're not in Coronado, you're not in San Diego, and you have no one in your network that you're being able to pull upon to be able to go for this specific niche. So maybe we could pivot to a different type of niche that's available in your area, unless you're willing to pick up and move your entire life, which obviously wasn't up for that.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, that makes the most sense. That makes the most sense, right? So we talked about the intersection method. Yep. Let's continue on our different methods. What's our next method?
So let's do the second one is find friction in everyday life method. This one's probably the easiest one. That's what most people are going to do. So first thing you're going to do is identify a common problem that people face. And you can do this every day as you're driving to work, as you're walking around the neighborhood. Just look around and think things. You're going to start to brainstorm solutions for these problems. I see this guy's having to go outside every morning and pick up poop. This guy's having to go outside and walk his dog. He's having to commute. How can I create a solution to this problem? Then we're going to create a product or service that solves that issue, and then offer value and make life more convenient for people.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's one that everyone does. I mean, it's the most basic of basic things. See a problem, solve problem, offer solution.
Yeah. Get paid.
Get paid money.
Get paid money. Currency. Bitcoin.
Get paid in Bitcoin.
So that one's the most simple.
That's the most simple. I mean, that's the easiest way, right? That's what everyone thinks of doing. But I think some people overlook it. They think, how can my business be this super complex thing? But at the end of the day, all you're doing is trying to add value.
Absolutely.
Add value to somebody else and they will pay you for it.
This next one, the third and final method, is one we like to use a lot.
Yeah.
The rip, pivot, and jam method.
Yep. So this is basically, you're going to be cloning. You can call it stealing a business, but you're going to be cloning a business. So you're going to find a successful business model or product. Then you're going to go ahead and adapt it to a new market or maybe a new audience, put your unique spin on it, on the concept of what makes it a little bit different. And then by this, you're going to be saving time by using a proven product that already works and a proven idea that already works.
Yep. Yeah.
So three different ways: intersection method, find friction in everyday life, rip, pivot, and jam.
Yeah. I mean, it's as simple as that. It really is. I mean, I hope you guys can use those three methods. Nothing more I can say on that. In particular, we've used, me personally, I've used the first one, intersection, and I've used the rip and pivot. I haven't done the friction one, but there's still a lot of time left on the clock, hopefully, for me in my life. But which one do you like most, Chris?
Definitely the rip, pivot, and jam method. I think that's the easiest one because once you see, I think it's really scary for people to try to create a new business idea, a new something that's never been done before.
Yeah.
Do they work? Yeah. Sometimes they can work. They can work really, really big. But oftentimes there's a reason that there's a new idea that no one's ever come up with is because it wasn't doable before.
Yeah. It really has to be the right time, the right season, the economy, the culture, everything's got to line up a little bit.
Yeah. And that's why today we hear a lot about, big tech firms that are coming out of the woodwork. Well, the reason that they weren't successful before is because the technology wasn't even there. Like they legitimately could not have been successful before because they didn't have the resources.
Yeah. If Thomas Edison, invented the light bulb, in the cave era, it wouldn't have sold.
Yep.
They're not ready for it yet. Right. So it's got to be the right time, right place as well.
Yeah, think about companies like pets.com. That's a really big one from like early 2000s. Pets.com is basically the same thing as Chewy.
Yeah.
And it was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Obviously, they didn't even have a business model, but their business model was Chewy, was the business model of Chewy. And now Chewy's a very successful company that's working really well.
Yeah, very successful. So we talked about the different methods. We talked about, what side hustle I'm currently working on, various side hustles. Do we want to get on to the next segment?
Yeah, so I say we skip over the overcoming common challenges because we talked about that pretty much at length, and hopefully we didn't scare our audience members away from starting a side hustle. But I say next we move on to building and scaling your side hustle to make sure that it's most effective for you.
Absolutely.
So, what have you found that worked best for being able to, after you identified your niche, after you identified what you were going to do, how you were going to scale that to make it into the empire that you want it to be?
I think you have to know every end of the business, at least the general knowledge of it. You have to understand how the accounting works, how the bill pay works, how the supply chain works, in every aspect. That's my business, but every aspect of your business as well.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're trying to scale, you can't do it alone. As much as you want to do it alone, you can't. You're only one person with X amount of hours in the day, X amount of energy, and ideas. When you bring people on, the right people on, that's when you really can expand. And this is one of the things I'm looking forward to with like the other YouTube channels that I'm working with, hiring editors, right? I like editing, but I don't love editing, right?
Yeah. And
the problem with that is I like it and I can do it, but I don't do it at the same quality level as someone who loves it. I could probably be a financial advisor like Chris, right? But I wouldn't be as good because that's just not my passion, So when you want to scale, you're going to have to give up some control of perfection.
Okay.
But the end result will be expansion if you choose the right people. And for me, we're trying to build an empire here, right? I'm trying to retire my bloodline. Okay. So it's worth it. It's worth it to me, right? It's better to have 1% of 100 million than 100% of 10,000, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's one of the most difficult things for people as they're trying to scale their business is to let go of some of the power that you have and delegate it to somebody else. Because so many people, especially entrepreneurs, they believe that they're right. Like they're right all the time and that their idea is golden. But sometimes if you give that control to somebody else, you'll see that they had a better idea that you didn't even think of.
Yep.
And the only way to really know that is to give them that control. And that frees you up, most importantly, to do the things that are really important. I think entrepreneurs, they never ask themselves, what is the one thing today that only I can do?
Yeah.
So many people get bogged down in thinking that being busy is being productive.
Yeah.
But being busy is not being productive. Getting the right things done is being productive.
Absolutely. Yeah.
When you and I first met, when you and I first met, I know that you showed me your calendar and it was like this crazy mishmash of like, I go to the bathroom at like from this time to this time, then it's shower, then it's like, then I could brush my teeth, but only for this long. And like, it was crazy. And you asked me like, Chris, can I see your calendar? And I showed you, it was empty, jiu-jitsu, record a podcast, meet with a client. And like the rest of it is completely empty. That way I can structure my days the way that I want it to flow. Mm-hmm. I think so many people, they try overdoing their calendar and now they're being controlled by their calendar in order to try to scale their business because they're confusing work or effort with productivity.
Yeah. And sometimes you give a 10 out of 10 effort. Sometimes you're doing it on a 2 out of 10 opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
You can give it your all, but it's a 2 out of 10 opportunity. It's not going to change the world, right? But if you switch the opportunity to 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 opportunity, and then you give your 10x, well, then there we go. That's when you can also really scale as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's talk about that for like scaling and being able to reach a wider audience. I think one of the best things for meeting the wider audience now that, past companies never had is social media. I mean, what we're doing right here, right now, it's so easy to put yourself out there and to tell people exactly what you do, how you do it, what separates you from other people so that they can see, hey, this is a real person. I like them. You can do it with video, you can do it with audio, but all of it comes first from overcoming fear, punching it in the face, and getting started before you're ready. So many people, they say like, before I can start a YouTube channel, before I can tell people about my business, I need to have the perfect podcast mic and the perfect camera. And I need probably have a green screen and all this other stuff. And again, I think that comes down to fear of just getting started. Punch perfection in the face, get started before you're ready, and you're going to figure it out along the way. And if it's not figure outable, then you're going to figure something else out that's going to probably work out a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Simple as that. As simple as that. I hope that helps with scaling. But let's talk about balancing a little bit more. Let's talk about next segment, final segment, balancing the side hustle with other responsibilities. Because at the end of the day, this is a side hustle. This isn't the main hustle. You still might have kids. You might have a wife. You might have a girlfriend, friends, family, cold plunges to get into, all that fun stuff, right? So how do you find balance, Chris?
I think the first thing that I have to do when I find balance, or before I even started my side hustle, was ask myself, what's the reason that I want to do this?
Yeah.
I think too many people, they don't start with why. They don't start with the end in mind. What is the end goal of this? And for me, it was to spend more time with my family, with my animals, with my future kids. And I think as people begin to find success, they forget that was the main reason. And they end up becoming bogged down with running the company when the company was originally started in order to give me more time. So that's why I've been very, very mindful and thoughtful on not scaling the business to be so large that I can no longer handle it, or it's superseding the original intent of the business. But when it comes down to maintaining my life, it makes it easy because I'm always starting with the why. But I give myself a certain amount of times. I've talked a lot about the way that I do my tasks every night before I go to bed. It helps me a lot with my anxiety and stuff. Every night before I go to bed, on my phone, I have a note with 6 tabs, 1 through 6, and little check marks. I write down before I go to bed every night, what 6 things do I need to do tomorrow for my business, for my life? That'll be the most important things. That if I got those 6 things done, that I would feel like I won the day. I write all those things down at night. And then the next day, I prioritize, execute.
Absolutely.
All right, I need to knock these things out. And ideally, my goal most days is to only be working at my computer doing work 4 hours a day.
4 hours a day. Did you read the 4 Hour Work Week?
Yeah, I've read that book.
You've read that one? Okay, I was just curious. I know you're a big book guy, so I was like, I don't know if
he's read that. The 4 hour day book. The 4
hour day book. Yeah. No, that's way better than 9 hours. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, but I mean, I think for me, it's that's what time where I'm doing things. I think most people, they focus 80% of the time, they're doing things they don't want to do. So that 20% of the time they can do things they want to do.
Yeah.
For me, I've tried to switch that around. That 80% of the time I'm doing things that I want to do, things that light me up, things that bring me joy. So that 20% of the times I can do things I don't want to do. And that's what those 4 hours of the day are. It's 4 hours of things that I don't want to be doing. I mean, obviously, it's not like I hate doing my work, but when I'm checking on the market, doing things for my clients, updating plans, stuff like that. It's not the most ideal thing.
You'd rather be, there's more fun things to do.
Yeah. So in my other time where other people might say oh, Chris, in your other hours that you're not working, quote unquote working, you're working out, you're listening to podcasts, you're reading, you're doing stuff that they might think is work. But for me, that's what I love. That's what I love to do. And that's what gives me the ideas to continue to come back every week to do this podcast, to be able to be there for our audience, to help them to learn through the things that I've learned through other people.
Absolutely. No, 100%. 100% on that. I mean, that sounds like the ideal day. That's for our stage of our life right now. That sounds like a great day. a great day. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any strategies for like avoiding burnout and like staying motivated when when you
absolutely.
face multiple responsibilities?
Absolutely. You know, a quote I heard a while ago that's always stuck with me is you'll never be burnt out if you're winning. You know, you'll never be sleepy when you're winning, right? When you're playing a game, when you're up and you're just destroying, you're not tired. You're amped, right? When you're winning in business, you don't get burnout, right? You don't get that's my take on it, but I think sometimes it's really difficult to take a step back and be like, I really would love to go on vacation, but
Yeah.
2 weeks away, like what if an order doesn't go through? What if X happens, Z happens, Y happens, It's like, well, build some systems in place to try and mitigate those things. And maybe if X happens, you can have someone take over and enjoy life. Life is to be enjoyed. It's not supposed to be all work. I would hope not. But
Yeah. And can you restate that quote one more time?
You're not going to be burnt out if you're winning. You're not. Winners don't get burnt out, right?
So
Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, they loved what they were doing and they gave everything, right? But they were also winning championships, right? You're not going to get burnt out if you see success and you continue to see success.
I think I would change that because
Okay.
I think you can get burnt out when you're winning.
You think?
I think so 100%.
Or do you think you're just getting bored and it's no longer a challenge?
Yeah. So I think you never get bored or you never quit when you love what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it comes down to. Michael Jordan, maybe not Michael Jordan. He's probably not a great example of that, but like, people like Kobe and stuff like, and these people that even Elon, people who love what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's not that they're winning. The winning is a consequence of the action of doing what they love to do.
The winning is fair. Yeah, that's fair.
It's kind of like pursuing what we do here with the Fi Guys. I mean, if we're not doing this for the money, we're doing this because we genuinely like doing it.
Yeah.
But the money follows as a consequence of doing what we like to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Because people can tell that you care about what you're talking about. And it's not just a scam. It's not a play. Yeah.
Yeah. So my biggest things that I would say to avoiding burnout, because I've gone through all these different iterations and stages in my life of trying to do this is, you got to prioritize your family time. You got to prioritize what's most important to you. Don't focus on what can I do today for my business? Only focus on that over yourself. You need to prioritize your sleep. You need to prioritize your health, your wellness, all these things, because if you're prioritizing, how can I make the business more efficient, but you're letting sleep fall by the wayside because you're working. Remember, you're doing 2 jobs at this point, but you're letting sleep suffer. You're not connecting with your spouse. You're not doing all these other things. Your business will fail too. You have to put your own oxygen mask on first. Yep. You need to take care of yourself. Focus on those unquantifiable metrics of health and wellness.
Absolutely.
So that way you can put your all into your side hustle without fear. And that's the beauty of the side hustle, right? Is it doesn't need to be all the time in the world. So many people think if I'm going to do this side hustle, I have to work 8 hours at work, come home and work another 10 hours on my side hustle.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no, that's not it.
It's the quickest way to burn out.
Yeah. And you're not going to get anywhere. Slow and steady wins the race. But
it's the same thing I talk about with some of my jiu-jitsu students, since I'm coaching now, and sometimes they'll be dealing with injury. And I'm just like, you got to take time away and just recover yourself. And like, no, I can't stop because then I'm not going to get better. And I'll tell them, if you're injured and you cannot train anymore, you're not going to get better. This isn't a scale of winning right now. It's a scale on winning over a lifetime. It's the same thing with business. And I think that's one of the biggest things that holds people back is they'll see this insurmountable mountain when they start the business, or they think it's so easy. And then they hit that first roadblock and they realize that, oh shit, I thought it was going to be easy, but there's this whole chasm that I need to cross, this whole mountain that I need to climb. And the only way you can start is one step at a time.
Yeah.
Don't focus on where you want to go. Focus on being better than you were the day prior. Yeah. Every single day, get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I don't think we can add any more to this pod. I think that's pretty solid framework. I don't know. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I'm just going to give them the action step and then we'll do an outro and
Please
get onto it. So
go for it.
I hope today you've realized that a side hustle is a really good option for our audience members to go on and to bring in multiple income streams so that you're not dependent on one source to basically run your life.
Yeah.
And it can really be something that you can learn to love to do. And a successful side hustle doesn't need to be something that takes over everything so you can quit your job. A successful side hustle can be something that you just work on the side, brings in an extra $100, $20, $15. As long as you find joy in doing it and it's bringing some extra money, just think about where that could take you in the long run if you stuck with it. So find something that's scalable, something that you like. Please use one of the side hustle methods that we use. We talked about the rip, pivot, and jam, finding friction, and then the intersection method. Use one of those methods and find a side hustle idea that you can start working on to bring in additional income for yourself and for your family.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, wow, what an incredible journey we're just on. I mean, we covered everything from diversifying your income to practical tips to starting and scaling your own empire. I love that, but our conversation doesn't end here. Remember, creating multiple sources of income is not just a financial strategy. It's a mindset shift, right? A path to empowerment and a key to unlocking a future potential, really. So, go forth on your hustle journey and remember that, you got to stay resilient. You got to stay curious. Most importantly, stay committed to your dreams. Whether that's, flipping thrift store items for a profit, launching an online business, monetizing a hobby, possibly, everybody knows that you can't win if you don't quit. You can't win if you quit. So stay in the game, keep fighting, and, take that step towards financial freedom. And I think you're making the right decision.
Yeah. And if you found value in today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the Fi Guys and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us continue to bring top-notch content and empower and inspire you. The more subscribers we have, the more engagement we have, that allows us to bring in more better guests that can bring value to you. Please always remember the fee for the show. If you found value today, go ahead and tell a friend about the Fi Guys. And until next time, keep hustling, keep innovating, and keep chasing those dreams. This is Chris. That's Dom signing off, wishing you all success and an abundant world. Stay empowered, stay inspired, and never stop hustling. Catch you on the flip side.
Later.
This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests, not the podcast sponsor.
It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.